Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. We have Don Miguel Rez Jr. and we are talking about his book. Hold up the book now. Living a Life of Awareness. And we're going to be talking about the idea of awareness. What is it? How do you get it? What are the impediments and blocks to our self-awareness? So, welcome.
Hi, CJ. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on your show again. It's
It's
such an honor. It's fun as always.
It's always a joy to have be in your presence. You have a magic. You have a magic aura around you, literally now, and then also energetically. Exactly. All right. So, what is self awareness? And I mean, is the is the Toltec tradition? Do they define self awareness any differently, or how would, if you take the Toltec perspective, is there one on self awareness, and how is it maybe different?
Well, in the Toltec tradition, it's describing the story of the smoky mirror, the moment
Hmm.
where Tezcatlipoca takes off the mask or takes off the smoke that doesn't allow him to see beyond the tips of his nose. And in
Hmm.
the story, it's when he sees that everything is created out of stars, and it's
Hmm.
everything that the stars are around us and inside of us, and we're part of the whole thing, which is, you can say, in a scientific approach, it's describing molecules and electrons and all those things, that all that space dust that we're all made of, that the whole universe is
Hmm.
created.
Hmm.
So in that story, it's basically the moment where we let go of the smoke that distorts our perception of the world. So
Hmm.
from my point of view, using the word awareness that we use in the English language, it simply means to us a constant communion with the environment that surrounds us, as well as a communion with ourselves. Meaning by that, to be able to engage our environment, life, the place we're in, and allow the information to be perceived as is without distortion. To
Hmm.
see a tree and see it as a tree, not as a definition, but as a tree, as a flower,
Hmm.
as the air, as the molecules, as the hot sun, the warm earth. We just experience it as is without a definition, without a meaning. It's just an experience. And of
Hmm.
course, the mind, the function of the mind is to dream. In the
Hmm.
Total tradition, that's what it is. And to dream simply means I perceive and I project. I perceive 360 degrees around me with all my nerves, so my eyes, my hearing, my emotions, my feelings. I'm constantly perceiving, and I'm also perceiving when I'm asleep. The
Hmm.
difference when I'm awake is that there's a material frame. According to quantum physics, I'm not really touching this desk. There's the
Hmm.
electrons repelling electrons, but I can't put my hands through it because there is this material frame and time is linear.
Hmm.
And in my dreams when I'm asleep, that material frame doesn't exist. I could put my hands through that desk because that desk is not really there, but I can perceive it. And time is not linear. I can be a baby in 1 second, then I can be an older man, or I can be in this room, I can be in the desert, and like that, because the frame doesn't exist.
Hmm.
What I said that I'm perceiving when I'm asleep, I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm perceiving. I'm the constant point of perception when I am awake and when I'm asleep. And my
Hmm.
reason is this compass that allows me to tell the difference between the two. Even right now, I'm talking to you, and even what I'm seeing is light bouncing off your skin, your hair, and going into this little camera that's
Hmm.
projected onto this monitor. And
Hmm.
the light from that monitor is going into my eyes, and my eyes is perceiving it.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm seeing you. And if you were in front of me, I could imagine you sitting right across from me. And my imagination is so powerful, so strong, that I can imagine you sitting on the same table as me. And instead of having this monitor, I can have you physically there because my imagination is that powerful.
Hmm.
My reason is this compass that allows me to tell the difference between the two. My compass, or you could say my reason, allows me to tell the difference between my daydream, my imagination, hallucination, or vision, between truth, which is
Hmm.
the light that is bouncing off of you.
Hmm.
So from that point of view, awareness is allowing that information that I'm perceiving, whether it be with my eyes, with my hearing, with my senses, my sixth sense, my mind's eye, if you want to call it that,
Hmm.
my emotions, I am perceiving it as is. And to see it with a filter
Hmm.
is to allow the mind to interpret it, allow the mind to put it into a position, a meaning. And if I get really attached to that meaning or to that belief, that filter can grow and expand and it begins to distort what I'm perceiving. Everything has to fit.
Yeah, so
Everything has
so
to
I think
fit.
I'm here's let me see if I can summarize it. There's so many concepts wrapped into the one, but into that one. But when you talk about awareness, it's about a spiritual awareness, which is being completely present and aware of what is, without our filters, without the little structures and that we build around us, but
Mhm.
to recognize what is the structure that we built around us, and but see it almost like in our dream state is what I'm hearing you say. In our dream state, we don't have these filters. We just see
Mhm.
things as is what you're saying. The self-awareness at that spiritual level is just interacting with life without these filters, but knowing that the filters, being conscious of the filters that are there.
Well, you can call it spirit, we can call it life, we can call it our everyday moment,
Hmm.
like what I perceive when I'm asleep or what I'm perceiving when I'm awake. What I don't know what I'm perceiving when I'm asleep, but I know I'm perceiving it. And what
Hmm.
I'm perceiving right now when I'm awake, because we have mutual agreements. It's a shared dream. And mind you,
Hmm.
what I'm saying by that is that it's the shared perception of life.
Hmm.
The function of your mind is to dream, and my mind is to dream. So we come together, we create the dream of us.
Mm.
I don't know what you perceive when you're asleep. I don't know what your dreams are, but I do know and have a mutual reference to this dream that we share, which is what we call or know as the waking dream.
Okay, so the dream of us. So let me see if I can map this to a different way that I've thought about this before, that I've heard and that I understand is we all create our own reality, right?
Hmm.
So, and you could call that reality a dream. And
Hmm.
then when the two of us are interacting, you have your own reality and dream, and I have my own reality and dream. And so when we're combining together, we're coming up with the collective dream.
Yeah, you can say that I my individual dream is my perception. I don't know what it feels like to live from your point of view. I don't
Right,
know what it feels like to hug from your point of view.
right.
We can put it in this way. If you and I were to shake hands and
Mm-hmm,
have this bond, from the point of view of life, this is 100% the truth, this experience.
mm-hmm.
But a part of me just went, hold your horses. That's not 100%. That's only 50%. The other 50% is the meeting of the
Ah,
minds. And the minds wants to say, what does he hold my hand for? What does this mean? Is this
right,
friendship? Is this love? And
right.
all of a sudden, the mind wants us to interpret it and put it in a position. Now, when the mind is the ally, according to our tradition,
Mm-hmm,
it's when it allows the information to perceive as is because it informs how we're going to say our yes and our no, our will.
mm-hmm,
It
mm-hmm.
becomes a parasite when the mind gives us these conditions. It distorts everything. So we have to live up to this expectation. We have to live up to this image.
Ah,
You can say in today's day and age, if you're going to use a modern word, which is the spin.
mm-hmm,
One event happens in the world, and you
mm-hmm,
have different news sources, be it on TV or
mm-hmm.
radio or newspaper, but they're all gonna interpret that one event, that one element of truth, and then they're gonna spin it to fit their perception. So you
Ah,
can
right.
say, how can I tell the difference between the truth and everything that happens in the news? Well, the truth is that the one constant in every one of these stories, that's the truth. The distortion is the spin to make
Right.
it fit their preconceptions, their pre-ideas, or their
Yes.
prejudices, or their understanding. For example, it's like my son can cry. When he was a baby, he can
Mm-hmm,
cry. Since he doesn't have language, he only has his voice, his to cry with.
mm-hmm,
But he's still perceiving. His mind is still perceiving life. He's still perceiving. I'm hungry. I'm
mm-hmm,
tired. My
mm-hmm,
stomach aches,
mm-hmm,
and he couldn't tell me, so he only had to cry.
mm-hmm,
But the experience was still there. But
mm-hmm,
as he grew older, now he can tell me he's sick,
mm-hmm,
and he's telling me my stomach hurts, my head hurts,
mm-hmm,
and I don't feel good.
mm-hmm,
Something that before didn't happen.
mm-hmm.
But the difference is, as a parent, when he was younger, I had to try to filter, or you can say spin it to fit what I think is happening.
Great.
And here's the thing, if I'm attached to this, oh, he must be hungry. He must be hungry. and I'm trying to feed him food,
Right, when he's not hungry.
but he may not be hungry. He just
Right,
might have the opposite. He might have a colicky stomach, which what I'm
right,
doing is actually making it worse.
right,
But I'm so indignant that he only cries this level when he's hungry.
right.
At that point, I'm not really paying attention to my son. I am projecting onto him what should be,
Mm-hmm.
thus not allowing me what is,
Mm-hmm.
not allowing me to see what is.
I
And
see. So this, so awareness in that particular case is you're not aware of what the reality is because you have your own personal filters on
mhm,
that particular situation. And so in your book you talk about several different blocks to self-awareness. So um, I want to talk about these. So being aware of how you confuse who you are and what you know,
mhm,
gaining awareness of how your attachments have created your reality. That I think is what we just talked about,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Stop creating your identity based on the opinions and judgments of others around you,
mhm.
and letting go of fear of what you are without your beliefs, and making new agreements that are more in line with your true, authentic self. So we talked about one. Let's talk about some of the other ones. Which ones do you want to talk about? There's four more that we haven't talked about.
Why don't you lead me in which one do you want to
Oh my
say?
goodness. Okay, how about just
Because
do it sequential? It'd be cool.
I can be honest with you, I can talk to you for 3 or 4 hours on every.
Okay, becoming aware of how you confuse who you are and what you know.
Okay. Well, there's the expression of I am not this body.
Mm-hmm.
When if you ever seen some like when my uncle passed away,
Mm-hmm.
I was holding his hand, and when he died, before that, I can feel his energy, I can feel his presence, even though he's completely unconscious. I can feel him. And all of a sudden, in a matter of a second, after that, his last breath, his body became as rigid as and as stiff as this desk. His
Mm-hmm.
body became an object.
Uh-huh.
Even though my uncle's body is there, my uncle's not there because I can feel it. In
Yeah.
his hand, in my hand, I can feel the difference
Wow.
between him being
Oof.
there and him not being there.
Yeah.
And even though his body's there, he's not there.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I can see that I am not this body. My uncle taught me that lesson in the most unfortunate ways when he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the pain, my uncle taught me the biggest lesson of my life. Now, if we can understand this concept, maybe we can also understand this one. I am also not this mind. My mind is alive because I give it life. You see,
Mm-hmm.
just like they teach us in Physics 1,
Mm-hmm.
there's two principles or two laws. One, energy can never be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And
Mm-hmm.
the other one is, in order for an object to move, there needs to be a force that moves it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when my uncle died, his energy transformed. Where did it go? I don't know. I haven't died yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find out when I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see that his energy, that energy that moved his body, was no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
So this body that's talking to you right now will one day be dead. I'll be a corpse. It'll be an object that's inanimate as this desk.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be tomorrow, maybe next week, or if I live to be 116 years like my great great grandpa, I've got 70 years plus left.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I will let go of this body, which means I am not this body. If we see it from that point of view, that I am the energy that animates this body, I am
Mm-hmm.
this energy, this, we can call it spirit, soul, intent, God, life, whatever your tradition has taught you it is,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I am. So that energy that animates this body also animates this mind because it's the same energy I use to move my arms,
Right.
to move my eyebrows and all that. It's the same energy I use to create a thought. Every
Ah.
single thought I have is at the root of it, there is a yes. So
Ah.
move my arms is basically me saying yes to moving my arm. So the power, the word yes represents the choice of moving this energy to move this body to manifest something.
Mm-hmm.
When I say no, Miguel, talk. No. Miguel, please. No. Not until I change my mind when I say yes, then I will do it. So my no is just as powerful as my yes.
Mm-hmm.
My no and my yes are the chisels or the instruments that create my work of art, or simply known as my will.
Mm-hmm.
To have free will is to be able to say yes and no with a complete freedom of life.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see myself as this experience of life, then the authentic self, this being that I am. The real meaning is this formless energy that is giving life to this body and to this mind. I am life.
Mm,
Like they say, mind, body, and spirit. I am not the mind, I am not the body, but I am the spirit that gives life to both. Thus, I am the soul.
okay, got so I think you answered both of these questions. So I think so. I'm hearing when what blocks our self awareness is because we confuse who we are with our bodies or our minds.
Hmm.
When this is really just energy, a spirit that is moving
Hmm.
around and animating our lives. We what we are not is our body or our minds
Yeah, I
or
mean,
what we know.
and you can say that that's the basis. That's the basic. But and also when we go in deeper, we become and realize that we also think that we are our thoughts. The belief of me, for
Hmm.
example, I am an author, I am a Toltec, I am a husband,
Right.
I all those things, those words describe elements of me, because
Hmm.
I am a father of two children. I am the husband of a beautiful woman named Susan.
Hmm.
I am an author of two books. My family comes from a total tradition, but those are just words. Now, if I attach myself enough to see myself as those words, then what I'm saying yes and no to will be attached to those four images or those four
Hmm.
identities, four
Hmm.
masks. It's basically like I put on the mask of the father, the mask of the husband,
Right.
or author, or Toltec, and all of a sudden I make choices to reflect this mask.
Right.
And all of a sudden it gets to the point where if I use the levels of attachment, at level three, I put on this mask of identity. At level four, internalization, I begin to be subjugated by this mask of trying to live up to it. I need to be domesticated. At level five, fanaticism, I am subjugated completely to this mask.
Mm,
Those two last two, the internalization and fanaticism, is when I start believing not only that I'm this body or this mind, but I'm believing that I am the concepts that I believe in. And here's the thing: a belief only exists for as long as I believe in it.
mm-hmm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, the guy from Cosmos, said it: the truth exists whether you believe in it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to add to that expression:
Mm-hmm.
a belief only exists for as long as I say yes to it. You see, at the
Mm-hmm.
root of every belief I have in my belief system, there's a yes.
Mm,
A yes that allows it to, just like the way I move my arms, move my legs, move my mouth, there's a yes that gives power to all my beliefs. And the moment I believe or I attach myself so much that I am this identity, this belief, and I begin to say yes and no according to that, then my belief of myself, my awareness of self is a smoke.
right. Okay. So this goes back to one of your blocks of self-awareness is letting go of the fear of what you are without your beliefs. I mean, these beliefs are these masks, like you said, personas that we put on ourselves, believing that it's us to the point that you're describing, worst case, that it subjugates us to be those things because we have
Yeah.
no other choice than to be those things because people expect us to be those roles. We want you to be the husband and the father, and because if we don't know what those things are, what does that mean we are? Oh my gosh, so
Exactly.
we're in this kind of game of self-imprisonment, aren't we? Because
Yeah.
that's our maybe unhelpful dream that we all have. So I can
And it's the
see
result.
if even using your analogy, if you have like six masks on top of yourself and you go back to what you said originally, how can you see, hear, smell? How can your senses even perceive what's in front of you?
Yeah.
You can't be aware if you're wearing all these masks and imprisoning yourself to the will of others.
And there lies the next step. Then you realize that those beliefs are dictating, telling you what to like, what to enjoy, what not to enjoy. For
Yeah.
example, put on
Telling
the
us who to
clothes.
be,
Yeah,
basically. That's one aspect of who we are, right?
yeah, exactly. Put on the clothes that you know your friends will make fun of you.
Right.
And then you're like, no, go
Yeah.
outside and well, be without makeup, or
Right.
don't put on those things. Like it's one of those things that all of a sudden, this yes and no, when I talk about personal freedom,
Mm,
which is I'm saying to say yes and no with a complete freedom of life, all of a sudden our yes and no becomes automatic,
mm-hmm.
dictated by our beliefs, or you can say conditional love.
Mm-hmm.
All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, our happiness is completely subject to someone else's point of view.
Now,
And
how does,
worse than that, our point of view.
yeah,
And then we self reject ourselves and we self imprison ourselves. And you can say that's where the masculine is. So we're back to where the smoky mirror has the smoke all around,
right.
and it doesn't see beyond the tips of the nose.
Yeah, so this is going back to what else blocks our awareness is stopping creating our identity based on the opinions and judgments of others, right? The
Yeah.
whole, I can't wear that jacket because people will make fun of me. I can't go dance in the rain because that's silly. People, I'll get sick and people will think I'm crazy. So
Mhm.
then the answer then is to come up, I think your last point, make new agreements that are more in line with your true authentic self. So saying yes when life says yes. You know what I mean? I don't know what do you mean by this? Make new agreements that are more in line with your true authentic self.
Well, basically, if we just saw how easy it is to make agreements to satisfy someone else's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that to reject myself based on someone else's prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, the thing about us is that we're the ones who self-domesticate. We domesticate ourselves. We judge ourselves. You can say no one is more brutal than us.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can say that when, in that interaction between the mind and the heart, if I'm the one talking inside my mind, who's listening? I am. Well, if I'm the one listening, who's talking? I am. In that internal relationship between myself, that those preconceived judgments or those prejudice that we've learned subjugates our own self. We subjugate our own selves. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the result of all those years of domestication, of giving someone else power over us, or especially the rules by which we love ourselves. So the moment we become aware of it, like an alcoholic or drug addict that says, I see the truth of what I created and I want to let go. It's where the moment they call it the moment of clarity,
Mm-hmm.
or that ehad moment, that moment of I become aware of everything I've created,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a choice. Like Don Quixote, after running after the windmills, he get the giants. He sees giants, and the windmills throws man and horse to the ground. And Sancho Panza goes up to Don Quixote and says, "What's the matter with you? Those aren't giants; they're windmills." And Don Quixote replies to Sancho Panza, "Ah, Sancho, how easily you are fooled. Don't you know that my arch nemesis, the magician, turned these giants into windmills just to make me look bad?"
Mm.
In that moment of clarity, Don Quixote saw the truth, but he preferred his illusion so much that he concocted a story to continue to believe his illusion.
Mm-hmm.
But when we've become aware of that little aha moment, and we decide to let go, that we decide to, you know what, I want to let go of all those judgments, all those conditions that has subjugated throughout my life, then it's a shift.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like reinventing ourselves, or you can simply say, all right, how do I let go? And of course, we let go by forgiving ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We forgive the people who try to domesticate us, and we
Mm-hmm.
forgive ourselves for using them to
Mm-hmm.
domesticate us. You see,
Mm-hmm.
we gave them power. You
Mm-hmm.
see, Eleanor Roosevelt, nobody can make me feel inferior without my permission. That's what
Right,
she said.
absolutely. You're accountable for having these, to adopting these beliefs. So the first step is being aware that you aware of what the domesticated beliefs that you have are.
Yeah.
That's step one, and then step two is forgiveness, because
Well,
forgiving
actually,
yourself
there's,
and others.
there's one step before that, which
Okay.
is the choice to let go. Because if you choose not to let go, nothing's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, an aha moment without action is just a thought.
Mm.
But what makes the change is the effort we apply with it. And discipline is remember to apply the effort over and over and over again until
Right.
we change it.
Right.
Without that effort, without that discipline, because what we've learned is so automatic, our yes and no are so automatic that sometimes we say it without awareness. And that's
Right.
really the danger of all this, to say yes and no, to take action without awareness of it, to have a
Mm-hmm.
prejudice of someone. You don't even know this person and you already hate them. Why did you hate them? Because they're the personification of an idea you don't agree with.
Right.
You don't even know that person.
Right.
So it's
Right.
a yes that's automatic. But once you become aware that we've done that, not just to other people, to ourselves,
Uh,
then that realization of saying, all right, you know what? I want to stop that. How do I stop it? Well, become aware of when you do it,
Ah, right,
then don't do it. And
right.
it's simple. And many people, it's going to be different spaces. And as soon as we become aware of the only reason why it was there is because we said yes to it.
Yes, we
The
can say
forgive,
no.
yeah, exactly. We have the freedom to change our mind and turn that yes into a no. And I forgive myself for saying yes all those times.
Yeah, so
And
it's a
that's where the steps comes in.
self awareness, the aha moment to go, wait a second, I don't like what just happened, and now I'm going to put the discipline and commitment to make it change. And then what is it that I've actually said yes to?
Yeah.
And who got me to say yes to that? Forgive myself for saying yes, and
And I
forgive
forgive them
others
for saying
for
that too.
if I felt like they were forcing me to say yes.
Yeah.
And then but it's not as simple as that. I mean, yes, it's as simple as that, but sometimes it takes a while to develop new behaviors, right? I mean,
But
it does take,
that's where the discipline comes in.
yeah, the commitment and discipline.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, right now I'm about to run a half marathon. I started running half marathons a year ago and I barely made it.
Hmm.
And I'm feeling better and I'm working towards a marathon. Here's the thing. I haven't been just working out for the last 2 months to run to this half marathon. This took me 3 years. 3 years because 3 years ago I started running and I was barely able to run 1 mile. I was able
Wow.
to run 2 minutes, stop, run, walk, and it was basically this cycle.
Yeah.
I would run with my headphones. I would run for one song, walk for another song, run for another song, walk, and I did that cycle. And then I ran for two songs, walked for one song, ran for two, and little by little, here I am. I'm able to run. Today I had a short run. It was 4 miles.
Wow.
4 miles became my short run.
Yeah.
I was barely able to run 1 mile, and
Right.
I ran 11 miles this past Saturday. I ran 13.4 2 weeks ago. Now I'm gonna run 13.1 this Saturday in Phoenix. And it took effort.
Yeah.
It took effort. And that's the thing. I use something tangible like that to try to translate it into those behaviors that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
that it's difficult to change, but it's easy. It's beautiful. There is this video going around about this gentleman who used to be a paratrooper. He
Hmm.
used to jump off planes, and his lower back was injured, and he tried to go to these yoga teachers, and nobody can do
Oh,
it
yeah.
because
I'm
it
going
was
to be
too hard.
interviewing him later, I think.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he looked up Diamond Dallas Page, Triple D. That he's a wrestler. I remember
Yeah.
him when I
Yeah.
used to watch wrestling, and I
Yeah.
remember who this guy is. And he trained him, and now he can run. Now he's doing yoga. It's
Yeah.
impossible, but it starts with this moment of awareness, this aha moment.
Hmm.
Like in Tezcatlipoca, it's an aha moment. Like I have this smoke, and it
Hmm.
required this effort to dissipate it. It took effort to relearn how to use the body. It takes effort to let go. But here's at the root is this. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm saying yes to.
Hmm.
And that is what gives power to it.
Hmm.
That's what gives it. I don't have to do this. If I domesticate myself with running, then I have to say the only way I can love myself is I run 13.1s every day.
Right.
Then I get sick and I have to go to
Right.
work, and then I run in 1 month I run and I'm expecting to run 30 miles and I'm only able to run five.
Right. Right.
If I'm only able to run five, then I'm gonna start, you fat,
Yeah. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
diatribe. At that moment, the only way I can love myself is if I'm able to run 13 miles. But at that point, it's not a joy that I'm running. I'm
Hmm.
running because I want to be worthy of love. And
Hmm.
that's the distortion. That's the corruption. That's when an idea controls my will.
Right.
But this is what I want. This is my passion.
Hmm.
You're doing your show, Fire It Up with CJ. You've seen the ups, you see the downs, you see
Right.
the ups, and you still do it because you love it.
Right. Yeah.
You enjoy it.
Yeah.
It has life because you give it life.
Right.
And that's awesome.
You're just adorable. Okay, and I think that's true. I guess part of it I'm thinking of two different situations. I was thinking about your work, and I have two situations. I have a nephew that's had problems with habitual smoking pot. And he's almost, I don't know if he has addiction in his family and he has problems with smoking pot. He's failing out of school. He doesn't want to go, he's checked out. And I think, okay, so his aha moment would have to be a point in which he says, aha, I I choose to say no to whatever this is, but I choose he has to figure out what he's saying yes to though. It seems like the yes is what's the motivator, right?
Well, yes, because it's our yes is how we're going to use our energy. He's
Yeah,
smoking pot because he's saying yes to smoking pot.
right.
Whether he wants to do it or not, that's a different point of view. But here's the thing. Like in alcohol, in any form of rehab, the key moment is this is what I want to do. And usually when we come to that point, is this moment, this realization of what we've created. Now, as a parent, we do our very best to help our children. We do our best to change it. Now, an intervention is not forcing someone, like we don't take over their yes and no. What we do is here is a mirror. The most ruthless way to put a mirror in front of them and say, this is what you're doing.
Hmm.
And even though you can be the most strong intervention there can be, they're still going to say yes and no to the things they're going to say yes and no to.
Yeah.
But you're basically forcing an aha moment. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a key thing because
I guess
it's
that's all
about,
you can do is to force that aha moment. I mean, if I've had a dear friend of mine who has a friend who is an alcoholic, and they had an intervention, they took her to drug rehab, nothing
Mhm.
happened. Nothing happened.
And the thing about it is that it's the balance between respect for someone's will and the lack of respect that I have. Poor you, let me do this for you. And when that happens, everyone is going to suffer even more because it's hard to control someone else's will when they have that freedom. And
Right.
the only way we can do it is to clip their wings, and we say it's for their good,
Yeah.
but there's a consequence. Now, as a parent, we love our children
Hmm.
and we're going to do the very best. And it's a fine line between knowing how to clip someone's wings or teaching them how to fly.
Hmm.
And life teaches us or domesticates us in a totally different way.
Hmm.
Life domesticates us with action reaction. There's a consequence for every action we take. If you live in a place there's a harsh winter, if you don't prepare in the summer or spring and fall for it, get those the wood, get those crops,
Hmm.
get those foods, get that coat. Your winter is gonna be miserable if you
Hmm.
survive it.
Right.
If you don't survive it, but if you prepare, you'll survive it.
Right.
There's a consequence. There's a consequence for the action. Now, we humans domesticate each other with the motivator if you live up to it, you're worthy of my love. If you don't live up to it, then I'm going to reject you.
Right.
That's conditional love.
Right.
So that's the way we clip someone else's wings.
Mm. Right. Versus saying,
To make,
I love you regardless of what's happening to you now. I always will have an enduring love for you. The
yeah,
consequence of your action, though, is I can't continue paying for private school if you continually fail out of class because it
well,
just
yeah.
doesn't make sense, right?
See, for example, it's like what we once again we quote Eleanor Roosevelt. You can't, someone can't make me feel inferior without my permission, and that's the key. To cut
Mhm.
someone else's wings is to make them feel inferior by making them doubt themselves, making them doubt their own yes to their own no. And so that's a consequence, not just with
Mm.
people who are with addiction, but all of us
Right.
who believe conditional love in our life. Now, to help someone out of it is, for example, there's a grandma that the person respects so much, and when he or she might be in the most drunken stupor, they hear their grandma's voice, and all of a sudden, oh, they're going to reflect. Grandma's talking.
Right.
And the reason why that happened is not because of conditional love, it's because of love, the incredible respect.
Mm.
That respect comes from loving them unconditionally.
Mm.
I'm still going to allow you to suffer the consequences of your actions, but I'm going to love you. I'm always going to respect you. And that's important because
Mm.
in that aha moment, when they have their aha moment, whether in that intervention or something happened in life, you want them to call you.
Mm.
You want to be the person who's going to receive that phone call.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing about domestication. If I don't do it, someone else will. And I
Mm-hmm.
can do it with unconditional love, letting them consequence. Well, someone else is going to do it with in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It might be positive, it might be better, or it might be much, much darker. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. We want our children to know that when they have that aha moment, when they reach that moment of clarity, that they ask, "What next? Here I am. Where do I put my effort? Where am I? What direction should I go?" They're looking for that help, and that's where you, as an individual, we want to receive that. I'm here for you
Mm-hmm.
because I never let you go. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been here for you, and I'm going to help you through it. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to do the best. We're going to find that direction.
Mm-hmm.
You see, once again, we have that aha moment, and that aha moment without action is just a thought. Oh, if someone who, that's the thing about addiction is that all of a sudden the drugs and the alcohol control our will.
Mm-hmm.
Our will is subjugated to a bottle or a drug.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden we have this moment of freedom and we're used to this. So in that moment, we have a choice to go back to what we know because this is what makes us feel comfortable, or to take a step. But when we don't know where that direction is, we reach out.
Mm-hmm.
So as a parent or someone who loves someone, that respect, when they hear your voice and they know that your love and your voice will help them, guide them, or be there to help them recover faith in their own selves, to
Mm-hmm.
recover faith in their own yes and no, to recover their ability to control it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an incredible thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that went through rehab and is 4 years sober, and the man still lives in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He never left Las
Wow.
Vegas, but he's been 4 years sober. Like
Wow.
the man has the strongest disciplined will that I've ever met on anyone
Mm-hmm.
because he still goes out to parties with his friends, but he
Wow.
doesn't drink.
Wow. That's hard.
He even buys them drinks if that's what they want to do, but he himself doesn't drink.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
requires not strength, but the willingness to be honest with oneself.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it today. And when he knows he can't do it, when he knows when the temptation is strong, he won't go out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where being aware comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about strength, it's about the complete awareness of being honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
moment, I have the strength to go to a party and not drink because I'm not tempted at all.
Mm-hmm.
This today, I feel tempted. I'm feeling the little Jones. I'm not gonna go out because I know what's gonna happen.
Right. That's their own internal self-awareness. If I know myself
And
well enough to know.
key,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting because in this particular case, it's the case that we're given an example to. I mean, the generalized form of what we're talking about are situations where you see someone suffering. Like I have this nephew, and then I also have a dear friend who is really suffering right now with a medical condition in which a lot of her she's already having a medical issue with her blood pressure, but she's adding onto it by adding stress and suffering onto it, right? Because, like you said, she probably has a set of beliefs that are just swirling around,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's hard because what I'm hearing you say in the example of the alcoholic, the case of addiction, or even a dear friend of mine who's having a really hard time right now, it's so hard it's so hard not to do the thing that you're talking about with your son, where it's like, I know what's good for you. You know,
I
you're
know.
hungry, you're crying because you're hungry, you're crying because, you're tired, go to sleep, eat something. It's
Yeah.
so hard not to do that. I mean, but what I'm hearing you say is to just be present and love that person is to have enough awareness in yourself to know when you are doing
Mm-hmm.
I know what's best for you. You need to stop drinking. You need to go to school, all those kinds of things, and kind of trying to push the person to say, I'm not sure something is happening in your spiritual path. I'm not sure what it is. I truly don't understand it, but I love you regardless of what's happening
And I'm here for
for
you.
you, and I'm here for you. And when that person has that aha moment, boom, you'll be there, and that person won't feel when they're ready to make the change, you'll be there to help them.
Yeah, because this is what happens. So in a dream, the plan is that I impose my will and someone subjugates. In the point of view of some people, from the point of view of conditional love, this is peace
Yeah.
because there's no active battle. And what normally we see this, who's gonna domesticate who, who's gonna control who. I
Right.
win. Oh, I win. I win. And all of a
Right.
sudden they're so subjugated, nothing happens.
Right.
So to engage one and create what we know as engaging each other, to have this mutual respect of I respect you. Your no is just as powerful as your yes, and I respect your no.
Right.
But I can only give what I have. I can only do that because I respect my own no and
Right.
my own yes, and we engage it. So when we have addiction, we're so used to subjugating someone else's will, but it's about teaching them to do this again,
Yes.
to have this moment of have confidence to open up.
Yeah.
So in that moment where they have this aha moment and they want to let go of it, and they don't know because they're so used to this that they want to domesticate someone else, and this happens again.
Uh,
That moment of opening the awareness.
right. If there's nothing pushing back at you, then it's just you.
Yeah, because for example, we have if we some of us have that relative that is always trying to impose their will, and whenever they say something, my guard is up already because I know
Right.
what's going to happen.
Right.
Well, there's also that relative that shared their point of view, shared whatever their truth, not in a imposing way, but just when I asked, they shared it with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
When they say something, I'm going to listen.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's gaining self-awareness of yourself in that particular situation of when you are trying to control someone, like being clear
Yeah.
with when you are being the subjugator, right? Yeah, to be aware. And then if you have all these masks on top of yourself, I'm the mom and I worry. I'm worried what he's going to look like at school. I'm worried about these things. Then you're going to be looking at that person and not even being aware at all.
Yeah, you're not even seeing that person. You're seeing a projection of them. It's like if they're talking and you're listening, but you're not really listening, you're actually paying attention to what you're going to say and thinking of what you say when it's your turn to talk. You're not listening.
Yeah.
And then the ability to listen is simply to actually pay attention to what they're saying without the need to project a meaning onto them, but just allowing them to share.
Right. Yeah, without adding any of your filters, not adding any of your judgments, just listening. It's there's a power to witnessing, to be a witness in someone's life and to love. Even when you witness something that you wouldn't want to feel yourself, there's someone's going through something that you don't really understand. You wouldn't want to go through it, but to just witness and not judge and not ask or not worry or cry or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it seems like to me that part of your reaction and getting enrolled in it is kind of adding to their delusional story,
Yeah.
right?
Just like Don Quixote and Sancho Panza.
Yeah,
Sancho, how easily you are fooled. Don't you know it's my arch nemesis, the magician, who turned those giants into windmills just to make me look bad?
yeah, yeah. You continue, yeah, love it. So tell us a little bit more about the book that we should know. We've talked a lot about things in the book. What other kind of tips are in the book? Living a life awareness.
Well,
Clearly, you have no filters.
oh, of course I do. They just look different. Um, it's a beautiful daily meditation book.
Hmm.
It's half a year,
Hmm.
so 6 months,
Oh, wow.
and it's a daily meditation with a saying and an exercise to go along with it. I love it because when I wrote it, when we what we saw was this opportunity to share this gem and give an extra exercise. But when you write a book, you have to write this gem and explain the gem. You
Hmm.
have to elaborate, you have to expand on it. And this one, it's I write it, but I don't explain it. It's your interpretation. It's how
Mm.
you see it. It's how you're the owner of the interpretation of it. So I
Hmm.
say my thing at this meditation
Hmm.
to where to focus your attention on that day, to
Mm.
put your attention, because that's what a meditation sometimes is.
Hmm.
The reason why when we go, oh, the reason why that's powerful is that when you say it, your breath is saying this Om, and your whole focus of attention goes straight to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So with a daily meditation, it's focusing you on this thing, and it allows you to see it. It allows you to take action once you see it, but your interpretation is completely yours.
I love it.
And that to me is a beautiful thing. It's actually I like it quite a bit. It's a good book, and it's meant the intent of the book is to open up your perception,
Mm.
and it goes deep in many things. You know, it goes some of the daily meditations go straight to a wound, or a prejudice, or an idea, or how does a stapler work? Which is basically, I'm talking about being able to regain your sense of wonder. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between an adult and a child is that an adult thinks they know everything,
Yeah.
but a child is so mesmerized with the world that
Yeah.
they want to look at everything. They're in awe about the world and they want to know about it. Well, somewhere along the line, we lost the awe of it because we're so attached to what we believe that we don't
Mm-hmm.
want another belief to go in there and take it away from us. And our
Mm-hmm.
sense of awe diminishes because this is what I know, this is what I want to see. But if we see through the eyes of a child, once again, to simply see, to allow ourselves to be in awe by the world again, to be in awe by life.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's any exercise I would like to give anyone, is exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to be in awe by life. How does the orange get its color?
Mm.
Like the fruit. Why is it
Mm-hmm.
orange?
Mm-hmm.
Why is the sun setting in different parts of the west? Why does the flower bloom in certain times of the
Mm-hmm.
year? How does a stapler work?
You know, you remind me of during New Year's Eve. I don't even know if you remember, but we did a show, and you said the opportunity during New Year's Eve, the New Year, and I think every day
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to,
I remember.
yeah, to be born as a new, brand new baby. And I think that that echoes this idea of if you were if you woke up and said, I'm a brand new baby, I know nothing about this world, you
Mhm.
would live in that state of awe. Like, I don't
Yeah,
even know how I got up. Like, how did
yeah,
I even wake up? You know, I mean, there's just everything would be in a state of awe.
yeah,
I remember that so dearly because it is every day we have the opportunity to make it a new day, a new year, a new moment in which
yeah,
we see life as brand new babies. That's one of my all-time favorite quotes. I don't
and
know if that's a quote or you just made it up on the fly, but it worked for me.
it worked. It's probably a quote now. That's the beauty, you know. Like it's the difference. Like you know, if I go back to that image of Don Quixote telling Sancho, "Oh, how innocent, naive you are."
Hmm.
Being a child is not about being innocent or naive, because that's one thing about being a child. Because it's we don't one of the things we don't know better in the
Hmm.
world. So there's the existence of lies. But to say to be like a child is to be in awe. Is
Hmm.
that never stop wondering how everything flows, how everything moves.
Hmm.
The life and beauty of life is the most incredible thing. Today is the youngest I will ever be.
Mm.
The beautiful thing about discovering my own mortality is that one day I will die.
Hmm.
But the beautiful thing about that is that realize that there's plenty of life to be lived between now and then. How do I want to live it? How do I want to engage it?
Mm.
How do I want to be me?
Ah, I love it. That is a perfect way of ending. I don't know if you planned it, but it was it's like boom, fireworks. That's amazing. So tell us, put up your book again, and you're going to be coming an East West bookstore soon, in the next week or so. Living a Life of Awareness. Thank you so much. It's always so wonderful to be in your
Oh, it's my
presence.
pleasure. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the East West
I
Bookstore.
will. I will. I'll just drop
Uh,
by to say hi. I'm
yeah,
so glad.
and
Thank you so much.
oh, it's my pleasure. Always fun, and I'm looking forward to the next time we get to play again.
Okay. Thank you, my dear. Bye. Okay.
Bye.
Love you. Bye bye.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.